Doing too well right now. I felt, you know what a weird thing is? I felt pretty good this morning, and I was like, okay, I'm ill, so I'm off school, but you know what? I'm gonna spend the day doing a bunch of revision, and it'll be worth it. I sat down, did some biology revision, and I got every single question wrong. Every single question. Even the most basic questions about cell functions, I got wrong. And I sat there and thought, what the hell? Likely, I'm not in the best of states because it took me quite a while to sleep last night. And the thing with me about sleep is that if I miss even 20 minutes of sleep, I could have 10 hours of sleep, but if I struggle to go to sleep for even 5-10 minutes, I'm just going to be dead in the morning. So tonight I'm going to try go to bed very early so that I can make up for that. And hopefully that'll make me that I'm able to focus more and that I'm not, lacking in terms of any learning. Because, 8 days. We have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Hang on. No, we don't. Because we have a bank holiday. So it's only 7 school days. And I missed 2 days due to a media exam. So that's 5 school days for me that I have to revise now. Great. That is just bloody great. Alright. So I'm not feeling too well. So if I make any mistakes or forget anything, please let me know because we're going to be going through English literature. And we'll also be going through some biology stuff that I've learned and maybe a bit of chemistry. I'll go. Hello. We should be back on. So let's just get right into this. So today on my Google Classroom, the notification I got was about poetry. The scene poetry, not the unseen. So I printed out these, so let's do them. Alright, number 1. The poem Ozymandias. So I guess the structure we'll do here is we'll go through themes, context, and then quotes. Now, Ozymandias, you could link this poem to almost every poem. I guess except for the social ones. You could link it to power, abuse of power. You could link it to nature even. And if you really want to stretch yourself, maybe to the point where it's a bit of a piss take, you could also even link it to the lasting nature of art. Or basically the power of art. Now why is that? Why could we link Ozymandias to the power of art? Well, because the whole idea of Ozymandias is you have this statue of this guy who, Ramses II, who was the leader of Egypt, and he, from what I understand, he led a bunch of campaigns. He helped Egypt quite a lot, but the thing about him was, at least from what this poem implies, he was a bit of a knobhead. And by that, he seemed to be very commanding, very ruling, very boastful, a dictator. So the context here is that the poet, who I can't remember his full name, Percy Shelley, I believe, the poet, at the time where this poem was made, was reading a news article or something like that about this statue that was uncovered of Ramses II, and all that was left of it was 2 legs and a head. There was an inscription saying, "Oh, hear me," whatever, what it says in the poem. And the poet was like, okay, that's pretty interesting. Let's go write a poem about that. Because this poet was, I believe, a romantic poet, and they were kind of like anti-industrial revolution. They were very for nature, for kind of, natural development. So the context there would just be what I've said. This statue, and the statue is used almost as a metaphor here to criticize the nature of power, to criticize the ideas of a ruling class. Because you have to understand that in Ozymandias, while yes, the statue is cold and commanding and sneering, there is no power left in Ozymandias. Ozymandias has no power. He has no control anymore. He can call himself the king of kings, but my man's dead and his empire is dead. So yeah, that's basically it. The poet is criticizing power because the whole idea of power is that it's lasting. The nature of power is lasting, and while people can try and grasp onto that power, it is temporary. Now let's look at the quotes. So the idea of power here, you could infer sneer of cold command. That is a good line because cold command, that alliteration of cold command, that kind of almost adds quite a blunt tone, almost like a sharp tone in a way. It kind of stands out, cold command. And that reinforces the idea that the poet does not support Ozymandias. The poet is criticizing the power here, is criticizing and showing his disdain for power. What else have we got? I'm not even going to look at that because I know this poem kind of well. There is the line, ye mighty, and ye despair, so something like that. I don't know if it shows it. Ye mighty and despair. So that's obviously him reinforcing the fact that he is mighty, he is powerful. Mighty obviously connoting a sense of physical power and also leadership power. And then it juxtaposes that with despair, almost mocking all the other people who are below him, mocking his subjects. And the ironic part there is Ozymandias is no longer mighty. Ozymandias also says, look on my works. However, the ironic bit is there are no more works left, which reinforces, again, the fact that power is lasting. But he also says my works. I don't know, it's mine isn't a pronoun. It's like a proper noun? No, not a proper noun. What do you call it? My must be a noun, but I'm not sure what noun. What class of noun? I know it is a noun, I think, but I can't recall the name. But anyways, that noun, my, is also ironic because the whole idea is that, Ozymandias' power is kind of bullshit, He didn't make all of this stuff. The workers did. All the people below him built his empire for him. He didn't do any of it. So it's quite an ironic line to further highlight how cold, how controlling he was. So Ozymandias, so that's number one. And let's just gather what we can. So it shows the abuse of power. And Ozymandias, the main techniques used is irony and juxtaposition. And also maybe you could say alliteration. Those are like the three structural or language devices used. Irony, how it's like, look on my works, but it's not his works. Juxtaposition, contrasting to highlight how stupid he is. And alliteration to almost show the poet's disdain. Next, the prelude. I love this poem because it's very difficult, and that means that we're going to get it in the exam, probably. So this is inner conflict, okay? You have inner conflict in a way, because towards the end, the poet is terrified of nature. Nature has changed for him. He says no longer are the images of, I think, beautiful fields, he says something like that, lakes, but then he says, these are not, they are, what was it? The quote is not there at all. He says, these are not people, but beings, or something, because it'll annoy me. And again, we need to know these quotes. Oh yeah, huge and mighty forms that do not live like living men. Huge and mighty forms, reinforcing the fact that these people, nature is not human, it is far from human. Huge and mighty suggests how weak and helpless he feels in comparison to nature. You can pull a lot from a prelude. Elven Pinnant, I believe, is another quote, which almost highlights how, to begin with, he sees nature as weak, as innocent, as helpless. He says, lustily I dipped my oars, which sounds a little bit inappropriate, but I think that's meant to highlight how nature at the beginning is presented as weak, peaceful. He says, proud of his goal to reach a chosen point, which suggests how nature is but a tool to humanity, something that is not really valued. But then at the end, he realizes, these are huge and mighty forms. H&M. So there we could talk about power of nature, because it goes from peace to scary. Alright, next poem is London. London is a pretty good one. On a scale of okay, here's a scale we'll do. I'll write piss off, and yes. So on a scale of piss off being, if this appears in the exam, I will die, to yes, I think Ozymandias would be right there. I think the prelude would be somewhere up here. And I think London would also be kinda. That's my little ranking, at least. On a scale of piss off being no, I think that's a somewhat good ranking. Ozymandias is certainly the easiest one. London. So anyways, London uses a lot of juxtaposition to highlight the abuse or controlling nature of power. So, for example, he juxtaposes marriage with hearse. Marriage suggests, a fresh start, peace. Marriage is often, although you shouldn't talk about this really, marriage is often associated with the colour white, which suggests, again, peace. It symbolises happiness, unity, the beginning of something. Death, a hearse, a funeral car, that suggests the end of something, darkness, pain. So in this poem, he juxtaposes the idea that power is having a horrible effect on all these people not associated with it. Blood, I think it's blood dripping down palace walls, or blood falling from palace walls. Let me go quickly check. Or is it maybe up here? Nope, it doesn't, but it's fine, because I'll keep talking. So blood down palace walls. Obviously blood is quite gory, it'll stain. Palace is something beautiful, but also it symbolises the idea that the higher ups here are just sat letting all of this violence and conflict happen while they themselves are living in absolute luxury. bit like today. So yeah, a lot of juxtaposition. We could talk about this further. Men, he says I think he says every tear in man's face. Something like that. Where is it? Bro, where's the London? Actually, Joseph, it's Bro, where is this poem? There. In every cry of every man. Okay, every reinforces the idea that this is happening to everyone, not just one person. And man, so you have to remember at the time, men were valued like superior to women. It was a patriarchal society, which means men were meant to be strong, meant to be like controlling. They were seen to be the people that would go out and fight. So the fact that he has juxtaposed man, oh Jesus Christ, the fact that he has juxtaposed man with cry to highlight the emotion really shows here that the power that these higher ups are having, their evil controlling power, is actually breaking society. It's fucking over society. It's making men who are seen as strong and not able to show emotion cry. So that's a good one to talk about because you could link that to society back then. You could link it to the context. Bro, my throat's just gone super itchy. I should be in tomorrow. I'll probably be coughing quite a bit, but I should be in tomorrow. But yeah, hello, Kieran. We're just going through all the poems because I checked the Google Classroom and it seems like that's what we were doing today. So I'm going to do maybe half an hour of English literature, and then we'll go through some biology stuff, maths, up to you guys. Again, last time, I don't think many people clicked on, so I kind of just had to end the stream not knowing what to talk about. So if you guys do have anything you want to talk about, as in like what if you want me to go through anything, and remember guys, I'm ill and I don't know stuff. Like literally, I did a bloody past paper today and I got so many basic things wrong. So if I do make a mistake or I miss a point that you want to talk about, put it in the chat. Anyways. Poppies is kind of a boring poem. The only the ones I remember is, I think, Red Spasms, because I don't know, but that's obviously it says like scrunched up poppy, right? Crimped petals, spasms of paper red. Crimped spasms red. It's all war terminology, violence seeping into a child's, like, pin. So the idea that war is already seeping into this person's life and is already affecting them. There's the idea of a wishbone, which implies that, I think there's a one about lazily inscribed or something. It's like lazily placed. I don't know. But the idea that the grave hasn't even been properly like inscribed. The idea that like, this could be symbolizing a mother's first day saying goodbye to their child going off to school, which links to hundreds of people, everyone almost. But then the idea that it could also link to a mother saying goodbye to her son in war, which is obviously a very deep, a very personal experience. On the scale of piss off to yes, I would give this one probably a strong 7. Because Poppies is boring. I don't like it. If I were to get that in the poem, I would say piss off. Okay. Before you left, I pinned onto your lapel the idea that the poppy that she's putting could almost foreshadow her son's death. Released a songbird from the cage, that's one I remember. The idea that when she goes into the son's room, it's empty and she is metaphorically releasing her emotions. Almost like a mental breakdown. It's quite a sad poem, to be fair, but it's just so boring. Like, Remains. Oh, I love Remains. Because it I don't know, I like the guy that wrote him. He seems like a canny fella. On a scale of piss off to yes, I'd give Remains... Because I don't know what you would talk about. It's inner conflict and maybe abuse of power. So the idea that... I'll just get rid of this now. The idea that for Remains, you have this guy who is so confused about whether he should have killed a person that, to begin with, he says, possibly armed, probably not. Almost like he's trying to convince himself that what he did was right, but at the same time, he's trying to convince himself that, what I did was wrong. I killed this unarmed guy. The drugs and drinks won't flush him out. I think that's one which suggests that it's been burnt into his mind, this idea of killing, and that he is being self-destructive in order to try and remove this pain, but that won't work. What else you got? We got sent out to tackle looters. We got sent out implies that he was just following orders, but, maybe he's there trying to, defend himself by saying, hang on, we were sent out. I didn't, although, I pulled the trigger, I was following orders. Language techniques. Pain itself, the image of agony, quite violent verbs, adjectives? Pain, agony, adjectives, sorry about that. Adjectives are used to reinforce the idea that this violent action is almost humanized itself, manifested itself into his mind to a point where, no matter what, even when he closes his eyes, he still sees him. Storm on the Island. Oh, I'll give this one here. I'll give that one like a 5 on the piss off meter. Storm on the Island is the power of weather, and it kind of instills fear into a person. See, the idea that to begin with, he says, we build our roofs with good slate, which suggests in a way that humanity is prepared, they're ready. In fact, the first line is literally, we are prepared. The idea that we could reinforce the idea that this is happening to everyone, not just one person. But he says, we are prepared. And it almost is like the idea of only picking a fight if you think you're going to be able to win. And then at the end, he says, space is slavo, strange, it is a huge nothing we fear. And it's quite ironic in a way. It's like humans are getting all bent up about something which doesn't really mean anything. It could connect to the prelude, but in an ironic way, in an inverse way. Because unlike the prelude where he goes from valuing nature as peaceful to scary, here, to begin with, he's viewing nature as an equal opponent, but towards the end, he sees it as powerful. He sees it as powerful, but at the same time, not. So to begin with, he almost sees nature as quite an equal, something that he could overcome, something weak. But then at the end, he's like, well, actually, it's nothing. We're getting, scared over bare shit here. Okay, you know what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there's so many poems to go through, guys. And honestly, I find that I just don't remember the quotes at all. Yeah, it does. Well, technically it would be 7 because we have the bank holiday next. For me, it's 5 days because I have this media exam. Yeah, bloody media exam. Honestly, so I'm gonna interject myself into this revision stream here. I have been contemplating, that makes it sound really wrong. I have been, like, mentally dying over the last couple of days, trying to figure out what to do, because, basically, for those unaware, I realised that odds are, if I want to go down the route of, like, medicine and stuff, I'll have to pick chemistry and biology, not just human biology. So I messaged the head of sixth form and I was like, hey, can I change my options, please? I'll bin media and I'll replace that with chemistry, and I'll bin human biology and replace it with biology. And she said, okay. Except you're going to have to choose between chemistry and history. And I thought, fuck. Because the thing about chemistry is I'm alright at it. I enjoy it. Mr. McAdam's an absolute legend. So I feel like I would enjoy it in sixth form. Problem is, history is like my go-to subject. I got a 9 in the last exam, and I've consistently in past papers been getting 8s and 9s. You know, that's basically my best subject, aside from RE, but everyone's good at RE, you know what I mean? So, now I have to choose. Do I get rid of history, this subject that I've poured hours and hours into revision for, just to not do it in A-level? Or do I get rid of chemistry, and possibly then, in the future, if I ever want to go down the route of, like, healthcare or anything like that, it goes in the bin because I won't have a chemistry at level. That's the debate right now. Do I stick with the thing that I know I'm good at? But what will come of that? What will come of me getting a history A level? Or do I stick with this new thing with it the off chance that it works? Because the thing about chemistry is it's kind of reliant right now on Mr. McAdam, right? He's a great teacher and I've learned so much from him. The problem is, what if I get Miss Ford or someone like that? A teacher that I know I won't learn shit from. And then it's a waste of time, isn't it? It's an absolute waste of my time. And I would have rather picked history. So I'm doing mental gymnastics trying to figure out which one to pick. Because I know I don't want to pick a media, right? I've looked at the, like, mark scheme and stuff. Yeah, he is amazing. I looked at the website, the school website, in terms of media, and it's literally, so for context in media, I came into it in year 10 thinking, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to learn how to edit stuff, I'm going to learn how to make films. None of that. I've learned none of that. Instead, from media, what I've learned is how to pretend like I'm doing work, and basically how to write in a really stupid way. I am not doing media in A level. I would rather bloody walk on Lego for a year than do that. That bridge is burnt. Media, I'm finished. Yeah, man, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm doing, like, well, that's the thing. I have to choose between history and chemistry. History is basically my best subject, and chemistry I'm, like, still debating about. But I'm also doing biology and core math. So I'm genuinely doing mental gymnastics trying to figure it out. Whether or not to do this subject that I know I'll do well at and I enjoy, or this subject that I could do well at, depends on the teacher, and that I may enjoy. Chemistry is obviously a lot more of a gamble because it could pay off long term, because chemistry and biology are two really good A levels. It could guarantee a lot of higher, like, career stuff. I don't know what I'll get off history. Like, what will I get off history? Like, you know, It's not really a career route I want to go down that involves history. That's a problem. So yeah, that's the debate that I've been having with myself for over a month now. And I'm having like this interview thing, this sixth form interview soon. So hopefully I'll get a bit more like guidance, but bruh, I don't bloody know. I was doing English literature revision because if I look at the bloody exams, biology is on the 16th, English literature is on the 17th. We don't actually have a chemistry one until the 22nd. So odds are I can probably put off doing massive amounts of chemistry revision until then. And I can probably just focus entirely on biology and English. That's my thought process at least. So we've just gone through like some of the bloody... In fact, I'll put like a mark next to the ones that I've done. See, I haven't gone through the poems all that much in too much detail. I've just kind of quickly overdone them. The problem is with the poems, you either know them or you don't, you know. You can understand the context and the themes and what they're about, but if you don't know the quotes, you might as well just, you know... You might as well die. God. Because to be fair, the only poems that I don't particularly like are the identity ones, and then Tissue and Poppies. Was like the only ones that I don't like. All the others are somewhat okay. And Bayonet Charge, that one is so forgettable. I literally forgot it was a poem up until like a week ago. So that's the English literature stuff. I guess I can tear that down for now, though. We'll move on to like biology stuff, which again, I've been ill the last couple of days, and as a result, I've forgotten so much stuff, it's unreal. Like today I wrote down that like the bloody cell... I wrote down that the cell membrane was for support and strength. Jesus Christ, man. But that's what you get for having fake COVID. Anyways, I'll go put all this literature stuff away. We'll go move on to just doing like some biology stuff, because that is the priority, I guess. That is the focus for me at least. So we have obviously, but I've noticed that the three things on paper one of biology that I don't like, just because I was never taught them properly, is the structure of a plant, digestion, and I guess the heart. And the heart I'm kind of doing now, I'm kind of learning that on my own. Enzymes we just have not gone through in like a year and a half. And structure of a plant is like basic stuff that I should have done in year 7, but we never did. So, yeah. I mean, at least I did bloody, these card things here. Just to kind of differentiate, because the thing about the plant like structures and stuff is they're kind of goofy. So you have like, and I did oh my god, no! Just threw them into the bin of acid. You have like, I don't know how I'm going to draw this, because it's like a tube type thing. I guess something like this. You have the xylem and the phloem. And then the xylem, so the phloem is for like sugar. And then the xylem is for water and mineral ions. Jesus Christ, Marie, they're minerals. And then obviously the xylem is transpiration. I don't know why I wrote trans and then the word piration on the next line. So that's translocation. I guess you can kind of gauge that because water and transpiration is like a water cycle thing. And then the xylem moves it from the roots to the leaves. Wait, no, does it? Yeah, it does. Okay, I shouldn't doubt myself. I always doubt myself in exams, and then I'll always end up like putting a dumbass answer that's always wrong. Okay, and then the phloem is from the it is from the leaves, yeah? From leaves to other parts of a plant. So that's kind of it, all you need to know. In fact, hang on, I think transpiration, the proper term for that is the transpiration stream. Because I checked a mark scheme and I actually wouldn't have got the mark if I put transpiration. I think the correct term was transpiration stream. Let me go check this mark scheme quickly. Because if I've put that down, that might be misinformation. Yeah, transpiration stream. Don't know why you have to put that, but okay. I'm just gonna write stream. There you go. So that's transpiration and translocation. Very cool. See, that's what I think I've basically like got at that point. The xylem and the phloem. The other ones are a bit mid, like the other stuff. You have the guard cells, which I couldn't find a good drawing of them. Like, I couldn't find a good diagram. So I drew them kind of like a hexagon, which has been like chopped in half. Kind of like this is what I draw. No idea if that's right or not. I guess we'll wait till the exam to find out. But basically, they allow gas exchange because they control the opening and closing of the stomata. Oh, and water loss. They control water loss. So they gas exchange, or basically diffusion. And then, why have I drawn the brackets like that? That's weird. And then water loss too, because the stomata are like little holes that are like open and close depending on, I guess, the concentration gradient. So for example, I think they let CO2 in, obviously to use for photosynthesis, and then they let oxygen out, for example. And obviously water loss too. If there's too much water, they'll say piss off. The stomata, like I just said, are those small holes. What else could you talk about with stomatas? That's kind of it. They control gas exchange by opening and closing. Oh, they're involved transpiration. They're involved in this process because water in plants basically equates to writing transpiration in your exam. Root hair cells, well, these things are kind of cool. Basically, they are adapted for taking up water and mineral iron. So they are also kind of directly involved in the transpiration stream here. Basically, they are kind of have an elongated surface in order to absorb as much water as possible. Yeah, a wide surface area to increase the rate. And mitochondria. When something's involved in diffusion, it may also be involved in active transport. And active transport requires ATP, aka energy. And remember, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of this, but we already know. It's the powerhouse of a cell, right? It releases energy. So we need that energy so that it can, if there's a high concentration gradient here and a low one there, the low can go to the high. So it's just constant requirement for energy. And then finally, the palisade cells, which I didn't actually realise this, but palisade cells are basically those big generic cells the big generic plant cells that you learn in year 7. These are the palisade cells. I never knew that. So they have a vacuole, which a vacuole I believe is used just to help the structure and possibly for diffusion. I'm not too sure. They have chloroplasts, so these guys will be obviously doing photosynthesis, absorbing light for photosynthesis. I'll draw like a little sun there. Lots of chloroplasts arranged closely, and they are towards the upper surface. So like if this was like kind of a structure, like almost a sandwich, they would be like here. And finally, my favourite word in the world, spongy mesophyll. They're for gas exchange. So basically, they're kind of weirdly positioned, kind of like, kind of loosely packed together. They have a wide surface area, and they are, thin layer of water. I forgot to mention that. They have like a thin, tiny layer of water, which allows, obviously it's gas exchange, isn't it? So diffusion, so going out of the high concentration gradient. So gases will dissolve in the water as they move in and out of the cells. So the gas kind of goes in, it's dissolved by the water, and then it goes out. I think that's pretty cool. But that's everything in terms of plant cells or structure of a plant. So in other words, palisade cells are the ones for photosynthesis. Guard cells regulate the opening and closure of the stomata. The stomata is for gas exchange and transpiration. The xylem is made up of dead cells, and that is for transpiration. Translocation is the phloem, because that transports sugars from the leaves to the root, not roots, to the other parts of the plants. The spongy mesophyll is for gas exchange, and it has a thin water layer. And that is... and root hair cells. Root hair cells are for allowing the intake of water. They're very elongated. They can take in water and mineral ions. Yep. Oh, and I should have mentioned ATP. Well, which one was ATP? I'm assuming that was... Shit, which one involved ATP? Or was it just generally? Oh, yeah, the root hair, okay. That makes sense, because the root hairs, for mineral ions, they need to be constantly able to absorb. Okay. So there you go. That's one thing that I do need to learn, because the fact that I haven't learned this so late into year 11 is a bit of an embarrassment. But to be honest, you can blame my teacher for that. Now, let's do enzymes. Okay. So, I don't know how you pronounce this. Is it amylase? Amylase? Amylase. I don't know how you pronounce it, but this, basically, it is produced in the salivary glands. It is also produced in the pancreas, I believe, and the small intestine. And what that does, I believe, is that the one that turns starch into glucose? That's my best guess right now. Yes, it is. And I got all of that right. Okay. So that turns starch. Because just remember, starch contains sugar. That's why if you eat a shit ton of bread, it's sugary. Starch, it turns it into glucose, which I need to remember this. Glucose is sugar. That I got a question today in a past paper that said, how would you test for glucose? And you know what I wrote? I wrote the starch test? I think I did the starch test. But you're not meant to. You're meant to use the Benedict's reagent because it's sugar. Sorry, I had a mental breakdown about that because I got it wrong. And it annoyed me because as soon as I looked at the mark scheme, my heart sunk. I was like, holy shit, I can't have been that dumb. Lipase are for lipids, which I don't even know what they are, but basically they turn lipids into fatty acids, and I think glycol, some kind of weird word like that, glycol, glycerol. Now lipids are probably produced in the, what would they be? Maybe the stomach, I'm guessing. Oh, forgot pancreas. Anything with the word G, you can just basically go, oh, that's probably something to do with diabetes. It's the pancreas. Okay, that was a bit awkward. Proteins, I believe, are produced in the same way through pancreas or the small intestine. And they turn protein into, I think, amino acids. But let me just go check that. I love what proteases. Pancreas, oh, stomach. So pancreas, stomach, and small intestine. I like the word teasers. I don't know why, it's funny. And carbohydrates, that is obviously carbohydrates to simple sugar. And that is probably in the small intestine, the pancreas, and I'm gonna guess that's it. The salivary glands too. And it is carbohydrates to simple sugars. Okay. I'm trying to remember, how could I remember these better? I mean, I always remember amylase just because it's kind of a bit of a weird name. And I always remember that's in the salivary glands. Basically, all of these are produced in the pancreas. They're all produced in the pancreas. I guess a good thing you could say is AC. AC is produced in the salivary glands. And everything but lipase is produced in the small intestine. So what you could say is everything is produced in the pancreas. A and C, or amylase and carbohydrates, are produced in the salivary glands. And everything but lipase is produced in the small intestine. All of these are dead obvious. Lipases turn lipids, proteases turn protein, carbohydrates turn carbohydrates. Amylase is the odd one out, which is why starch is the odd one out. Starch is, I guess, just remember that is sugary, so glucose. Lipase is fat, basically. And remember, it's produced in a pancreas, which means it must contain a G word. And look at that, glycerol. Proteins, amino acids. You can kind of just link the two there. And carbohydrates are sugars. So that's kind of it. That's all that I've kind of done today. But I think that was honestly a very helpful stream, if you guys maybe would agree. Because I know me personally, I despise enzymes, and I don't like the structure of plant because I've never learned it. So at least for me, this was a very useful 15 minutes. So let's just recap. So we have, in fact, I don't even need a recap because I know it all. But the xylem, that is for water and its transpiration. It moves it from the roots to the leaves. It's made of dead cells. The phloem is for food, aka sugar. That goes from the leaves elsewhere, and that is translocation. Both are made up of cells, but they obviously have different functions. Okay. Guard cells and stomata are kind of hand in hand. The guard cells regulate the stomata. The stomata is for gas exchange and water movement. Transpiration, I guess you could say. Spongy mesophyll for gas exchange. They're kind of loosely packed together, and they have a thin layer of water, which obviously spongy. Just realised sponges absorb water. Wow, huge biology drama. But that's it. That's all I need to really spout back out. You guys can do the rest. So, we've just gone through some biology stuff. Let's quickly finish it off with chemistry. Oh yeah, shit! I just cut my toe again. Oh, that's like the 8th time that's happened. Anyways, fractional distillation. It's kind of like this thing and like kind of this thing. It's kind of cool. So you have a hot bottom and a cold top. So basically, the things that have a high boiling point, the long chain hydrocarbons, have a crude oil, long chain crude oil or long chain fractions. They're obviously going to be there. They're going to condense there, and the short chain is going to be up there. So what happens is they condensate. I don't know the exact word. All I know is they basically turn into the gaseous form, and that allows them to be separated out. Basically separating crude oil. I know that. I remember. You guys might have been confused yesterday because I struggled with something. I forgot a word. So to go from an alkene. To go from an alkene to an alcohol, then an alcohol to a carboxylic acid. Let's just look at these. So we have. Obviously, I've done that completely wrong. I think that's a double bond. Do you guys know if that there for do carboxylic acids have a C double bond OH? That would make more sense, honestly, but I'm not sure. But anyways, how do we go from this to that to that? Okay, alkene to an alcohol, you would add steam, or basically scalding water in its gaseous form, because think about it, you're breaking this bond, and you're adding an O, an H, and another H. H, 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen, water. Okay. And then to go from an and phosphoric acid. That's what you need, phosphoric acid. To go from an alcohol to a carboxylic acid, you need an oxidizing agent. Because think about it, all you're adding there is a single oxygen. but it's double bonded. So you're probably going to need, a tad bit of oxygen for that. And then obviously it's an acid, which means it disassociates in water, which gives you obviously a positive hydrogen ion. Neutralization reaction we could even do here quickly just to show off. But just to show you guys, that would be the acid, that would be the oh no, I've forgotten the word. Alkali. Bro, I forgot the word alkali. I was about to put acids and alkenes, bro, if I put that in an exam. Because obviously, you have your non-linear pH scale, 7 neutral, that is a strong acid, that is a strong alkali. Acids obviously dissociate in water to give H+. Weak acids only partially dissociate, while strong ones fully dissociate. Same goes for alkali. They dissociate to give OH- ions. Together they create H2O. Is there anything else I could go through today that I've kind of like fully learned or gone through? Chemical tests I kind of already know on a need-to-know basis now. Electrolysis, I know. There were some annoying questions I did on Tassamite today that really annoyed me. But it's positive anode, negative cathode, oil, rig, because obviously oxidation occurs in the positive anode, reduction occurs in the negative cathode. But anyways, that's all I'm doing today. I've surprisingly I haven't coughed that much actually. The medicine is kicking in. Let's go. So unless you guys want me to go through anything, that's been a solid hour there. We went through a couple poems. I revised a solid bit of biology there. Let's just go quickly revise one or two other things in biology, actually, before I start off. We have our atrium. This is obviously going to be the heart. Going out, going out, going in, going in. We have our pulmonary vein, our pulmonary artery, our aorta, and our vena cava. Blood vessels. There was a question on this past paper I did today on them. You could talk about, okay, I did not know this. Both of them have elastic tissue and muscle tissues. Both the vein and the artery. Both the vein and the artery have a muscle tissue and elastic tissue. The difference is arteries have much more of it, a thicker layer of elastic and muscle tissue in comparison to veins. Veins have valves to prevent backflow, which arteries do not. Arteries obviously go out of the heart, while veins go in to the heart. Capillaries are obviously one cell thick to allow for a constant ions diffusing in or out. So yeah, well, that's just something I thought I would pick up on. Oh, here's a question that I got. Flipping I got this bloody past paper, a question on bloody cancer, and I thought, shit, we have not done that since year 9. And one of the questions showed like this diagram of like, oh, this is I'll just draw 2 beans for the lungs, and it was like, this is a tumor or something. How do you know that, what was a keyword? Oh, I don't have a paper. I know one of the words is like malignant, and I don't know if there's another one, but it was the one that doesn't stay still, the one that spreads, how do you know that that is spreading? Well, you could obviously say, well, look at that. There's multiple on different organs, which suggests that, it is that. And I completely forgot, because we only ever did that with one teacher. And an interesting thing, another question which really got me thinking, it was like the symptoms of a person with cancer. And it was like, okay, so one of the symptoms is if you get cut, you bleed like forever, like constant bleeding. So you could talk about there how cancer is obviously reducing the number of blood. Okay, no, I'll put it out properly. So it reduced the number of like features of blood. It said something. Okay, so a person with cancer and the blood in them is less. Like they have less blood features. I don't know what the precise wording was because I can't pull up the paper. But what I do know is that these three, it's an easy question. Look, why are they going to be, if they have this cancer, why are they going to get more infections? Well, think about it. Blood, white blood cells. They're going to have less white blood cells, which means less phagocytes and lymphocytes are going to be able to deal with new infections, meaning that the person will have more infections. Why, when they cut themselves, will they be bleeding for a long time? Why is that, guys? Well, because platelets are not going to be there to clot the cut. There's going to be less platelets, which means more bleeding. And finally, tiredness or fatigueness, that is going to be because there's less blood cells, i.e. less hemoglobin, which means less oxygen, which means less oxygen being used for respiration, i.e. less energy output. Quite a convoluted way to say you're going to feel tired, but that's a 6-mark question in an exam, and it's easy as piss. There was a question about how a tumour was blocking up the gallbladder to the small intestine. And I was like, oh, that's a bit violent, but okay. Let's think about this logically. Why would a person struggle to digest fat things? Well, first of all, the fat isn't going to be emulsified, which means it's not going to be broken down into smaller bits, because that's the small intestine's job. Bile isn't going to be able to be produced. Well, bile won't be able to go into the small intestine, which means obviously the fats aren't going to be broken down as much. And you could also say that could cause issues with the pH of enzymes, which means that they won't be at their optimum temperature, which means less breaking down. Jesus Christ, that's horrible. That's fucking horrible. Let me go, you know what? I'm going to go pull up the question. I'll stay on for another half an hour, guys, because again, I haven't been at school today. I feel bad for not doing anything. I got to do more revision on digestion. Okay, fair enough. The circulatory system. I mean, we're kind of doing digestion now, but we're kind of combining it with infection and response. So if you want to ask any questions and we can try and work them out, that could be cool. Because all I'm doing now is just trying to find some exam stuff. Circulatory system. See, to be fair, I don't know what else you need to know for that. I know kind of the basics of the blood cells. I know the basics of the heart. What else do you need to know about the circulatory system? Because, yeah, that's kind of all I know. I know pacemaker cells are in the right atrium. I know that. I know that heart failure could be a reason to use them, but I think irregular heart patterns are what mainly you would use you would use pacemakers for, artificial ones. But is there anything else? Yo. I don't know if Kieran's still watching or not. Biology is the second ever GCSE that I do. Biology is on the 16th, chemistry is on the 22nd. A 6-day gap between the two. So that's why I'm focusing on biology more. When my time is right. But I shall put a wonderful sights. Bet your time for night. Running through the evening. So yeah, it will be up. Okay, here guys. If any of you guys want to join in, please do so. Because we're about to go through. This is the paper that we half did. Alright, this should be it. Where is it? If you give me a minute. Yep, cells, bloody, it all starts with, where? Hang on, please bear with me here. What I'm trying to do, I'm gonna do 1 or 2 exam questions, because I think they'll be quite good. Found it. All right. Number 1, what is the equation for photosynthesis? I believe it's 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O because it's carbon dioxide and water. C6 H12O6 plus 6 O2. I think that's right? Carbon dioxide and water, and you get your it's glucose, right? You get your glucose and oxygen. Oh, this is a fun question, but we did in our mocks. A student investigated the effect of light intensity on the rate of photosynthesis. The lamp gets warm when it is on. This causes the temperature of the water to increase. Explain how an increase in temperature would affect the investigation. So, photosynthesis, a warm temperature, surely that would be a benefit, right? But I'm not sure why it would be a benefit. Do any of you guys know? Why would an increase in the temperature of water be a benefit for photosynthesis? Or would it be a downside? Would that denature like the enzymes, or like the cells, I guess? I'll look at the mark scheme in a minute, but I want to see if anyone's watching, I want to see if we can try figure it out. I'm gonna guess that it probably leads to an increase in photosynthesis because it allows for like more gas exchange, something like that. I'll give it like 2 minutes. I'll look at the max scheme. I was kind of there. I was kind of at the ballpark. Enzymes would work faster because remember that enzymes need to reach their optimum. So I guess we're assuming that the temperature isn't going up too much here. And the bubbles of gas will be produced faster. Yeah, so I was talking about, I talked about gas exchange or something there. More bubbles because it's warmer. Which makes total sense now. Bro, biology is literally just stating the obvious, but I can never state the obvious. If you get something warm, or like a volcano or some shit, it produces a shit ton of bubbles underwater. Why did it take me so long to get that? Suggests one way the investigation could be improved so that the temperature does not increase. Use a light that is energy efficient, does not release light. Use a LED? Use a light that does not emit a lot of infrared or thermal radiation. Okay, so you had to be a tad more specific there. When talking about heat, I guess you always want to be talking about thermal radiation. Put the tube in a beaker of water. Put the tube in a water bath. Okay. Next question. Describe how to test a sample of food for here we go, guys. How to test a sample of food, and how many marks is this? 6! Alright, we can cram a lot of details in. How to test a sample of food for protein, starch, and sugar. Okay. I guess you could bullet point. Okay, so for protein, you would use burette solution. And you would add it to a test tube. You would watch it go purple if it contained protein. To test for sugars, you guys know what we do. You add Benedict's. You add Benedict's reagent. You would place it in a hot water bath. And I found out actually the temperature for that should be about 65 degrees. And it would go either red to green depending on the quantity of sugar. Oh, it says colours if the food contained it. So I guess we'd say red in that case. And finally, starch. So starch, remember guys, Kieran's absolute banging bar. Like starch, you would use iodine. Can't wait to make you black and blue. And that must be 6 marks. Come on, I'm betting for 6 marks here. Okay. Right away, before all of that, I should have mentioned that you needed to actually grind up the food. Because if you're testing a fucking donut or some shit, you're not going to be able to just mash the donut in. You need to grind it up. Okay. So yeah, grind it up. But that was obvious, okay? Next, add the burette solution. And it'll turn purple or lilac. So that's 1-2 marks, right? Starch, add iodine, turns black and blue. Yep. Sugar, grind up food, mix with water. Shit, that's kind of obvious as well. Why else would you have a water bath? You would mix with water, add the solution, heat in a mixture, And it'll turn red. Okay. But, honestly, I feel like I still would have gotten all 6 marks there. I mean, I talked about the product of each one, and I talked about what you need. Surely I talked about the water bath. All I would have needed to say for that test was add water. And all I would have needed to say for those 2 is grind it up. I think I would have gotten maybe 5 out of 6 for that. Maybe just a tiny reference. I think I've mastered food tests now, though. I think I'm good at those. Let's go see what the next question is. Fermentation in yeast is used to manufacture bread and alcoholic drinks. Fermentation is an exothermic reaction. Why do I not know what they are? Why have I forgotten? Hang on. Endothermic increases in temperature. No, exo, but then reduces. Endothermic increases temperature and stays up. So what you would say is it starts with a low amount of energy, its energy increases. There's a more obvious solution here. Oh my god! Why? It's flippin' energy! Okay, hang on. I'm having a mental breakdown. Someone better not clip that, by the way. Anyways, like I was saying, endothermic takes in energy from the surroundings. Takes in energy from the surroundings. It releases. It said exo, not endo. It said exothermic, and I wrote endothermic's definition. I'm literally losing it. Why was a layer of oil needed on the surface of the mixture to prevent the gas interacting with the sugar solution? Keep oxygen out. Basically to prevent anaerobic okay, yeah, keep oxygen out. Pathogens and microorganisms that cause disease. Gonorrhea, malaria, and measles. Okay, we know malaria is a protist. Gonorrhea is a bacteria, and measles is a fungus, right? Alright? Hang on. Malaria is a protist. Oh, measles is a Oh, yeah, shit, I was thinking about the STD, though. Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, of course it's a virus. Measles, mumps, and rubella. Jesus Christ. I'm actually losing the plot. I'm getting the most obvious things wrong. Malaria is transmitted by mosquitoes. Explain how releasing sterile mosquitoes reduces... Okay. It prevents mosquitoes from... It prevents mosquitoes who have malaria passing it to their offspring because they are sterilized. Reduces breeding. Fewer mosquitoes bite people. Allow fewer mosquito eggs to be fertilized. No offspring produced. Less likely to be bitten. Okay. Shit! Ignore fewer mosquitoes pass on the disease. I wasn't allowed to say that. Shit. You should have said fewer mosquitoes bite people. So, in other words, it just reduces the breeding. Okay. Don't state the obvious. Okay. Rose black spot. Name a piece of equipment used to view the virus. Probably a light microscope or possibly an electron microscope. It was an electron microscope. Actually kill yourself. Bruh, I'm actually gonna cry. It was, bro, because electron microscopes work with UMs. It mentioned UMs, bruh. I wanna die. Why plants infected with a mosaic virus grow slowly? Because basically it makes the leaves discoloured, which reduces the rate of photosynthesis, which means the plant is going to be able to produce less sugar, less glucose overall, which means its growth rate will be stunted, as it has less energy to use for growth. Which blood vessel transports blood with the highest oxygen concentration into the heart? It has to be A, right? No, D. Because D is your left side of a blood, the oxygenated side. It passes it out. It is D. If it's not D, I swear to God. Okay, it is. The second one was C, but let's see if we could gauge that. Blood pressure is a measure of the force of blood against the walls of blood vessels. Which blood vessel transports blood at the highest pressure? Highest pressure, it would either be B or C. And judging by the diagram, oh my Jesus Christ. Judging by the diagram, you can see that this C side actually has more thick walls. A thick bit there too. So you could probably gauge from just that alone that it was C. But I did not know that actually. That's pretty cool. Which of the following is blood flowing through the heart to the lungs? Okay. Through the heart to the lungs. Hang on, this doesn't make any sense. Your heart flows in deoxygenated. It goes out through the pulmonary artery. Then it goes in from the left atrium, left ventricle, aorta. But it's not. So it must be the pulmonary artery. Atrium, ventricle. Heart to the lungs. What? This question makes no sense. Going from through the heart to the lungs, not from the lungs. Oh my God, I'm blind. I'm literally blind. From the heart to the lungs, the blood has to be deoxygenated, which means it goes in from the right atrium, the right ventricle, and to the pulmonary artery. Yes! That was worth 1 mark, bro. I spent 2 minutes on that. Oh, here we go. Heart attack question. Statins and stents are two treatments. About the use of statins compared with a stent. Bro, I've been having a mental breakdown over these biology questions. Literally, I spent 2 minutes working out what exothermic was just to get the fucking question wrong, just to misunderstand what it meant. This is a 6-mark question, bro. If I don't get at least 2 marks on this, I'm gonna cry. Statins are the things that you eat, right? Like the medicine. Stents are the things that Okay, great. Okay. Shit, what have I done to my Chromebook? You can remove the don't touch sticker. Anyways, evaluate the use of statins. So statins are the ones that you medicine, right? Statins, okay, yeah. Statins decrease blood cholesterol. So they're easy to take. It's a non-invasive procedure. I'm reading the mark scheme here because I didn't know this actually. Because again, we haven't done the heart with Mr. Hooper very much. Low costs, and it slows up the build-up. Stents of a, what do you call it? Like the little things that you have in your, yeah. So the disadvantages of statins, statins are the drugs, stents are the tubes. Right, I remember that now. Statins, you might forget them. You might forget to take them, bruh. Why? The thing I hate about biology is sometimes it'll be like so obvious the answer, but like it'll slip past your mind. Other times when you state the obvious, you'll get it wrong because you didn't explain it enough. That's what I hate about the mark schemes. They piss me off. Because sometimes it'll be like, oh, explain this, and you'll go into detail and you'll get it wrong. But then other times you'll explain something in a 2-word thing that you think is right, but then you'll have to explain it in detail. Seriously, I'm picking biology for A-level, but bro, man, does it make me want to cry sometimes. Stents have an immediate effect, unlike statins, which may take time. However, okay, I knew this about stents. They have a risk of infection, blood clots, and the surgery could lead to a heart attack or bleeding. So you need to argue against and for both treatments to get 6 marks. That's a bit of a scummy question, I'll be honest. Let's skip right to the end. Let's do a final 6-mark question. That's a 3-mark question. Where's the final 6-mark question? Is there one or is that it? Bro, that was it for the whole paper in terms of 6 marks? No way, man. There were 2 6-mark questions in that paper. Actually kill yourself. But this is a vile paper. Okay, we'll do these ones because we've just gone through it on the stream. What does the structure of a companion cells suggest about a protein? What is a companion cells? Hello? Oh, it's a diagram. Oh, I hate diagram questions. Can we do one which doesn't involve bloody... There, okay. Why is it important that dissolved sugars are moved upwards and downwards in a plant? Okay. Well, sugars are obviously vital for every part of the cell, right? For like growth, for energy. So I'm assuming that it's going to be some complex ass answer like sugar is used for various functions around a plant, meaning that it needs to be transported from all parts. What should be something dead obvious in the mark scheme? Watch. Okay. I swear to God, it is. I forgot to state the one thing that I know about sugars in the plant. They are made in the leaves. Because phloems take it from the leaves to all the other parts of the cell. All cells/tissues need sugar for respiration. So yeah, I guess you could talk about energy. Oh, it does say allow every cell/tissue needs sugar. Sugars transported for growth, cell division, and mitosis. Yeah, I did say for growth. Sugars transported for storage with starch, fat, and oil. Okay. Honestly, biology papers can actually just die. They are horrible. Whoever made the mark schemes for them, Hitler. Literally Hitler, bro. But anyways, that's all. I've been sat here for an hour and a half to your revision. I'll update the Google Doc. If you guys haven't been invited, ask me for an invite, because we're getting closer to GCSEs. Anyways, I'm actually going to take a breather for a minute. Goodbye. Jesus Christ.